Hello, Dijon here. In the TV and film portion of episode 130 of the Mustercast, we review the first three episodes of Alien Earth, react to the trailer for season 2 of the live action One Piece, and discuss how Fallout on Amazon Prime has taught everyone the wrong lessons about adapting video games. So, moving on to TV and film, Christian, what have you been watching lately?
Yeah, as far as watching shows, the main thing I've been watching is Southside, s- sitcom, comedy, but it's not really centered around one group of people or one person. It's like an ensemble comedy, and it's just like a bunch of different stories going on in the neighborhood in just the entire area of Southside Chicago. Very funny, joke a minute, and I feel like it just didn't get the love that it deserved until like way later after it was canceled. It got 3 seasons. I wish it got the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia treatment and got 57 seasons. Um, but yeah, Southside, mainly been watching that. Um, as far as movies go, yeah, I've mainly been in my television bag. Yeah, I haven't really seen any movies recently. Like, I haven't seen any movies recently, but I did go to the 48-hour film festival in the city, and that was a cool experience just seeing what other filmmakers are working on or what other filmmakers can do in a time constraint. Like, it was a very fun experience. But other than that, yeah, that's mainly been all on the television end.
Yeah, by the time I heard about the 48-hour film festival, it was already over. I was like, damn.
Yeah, it's going very fast. Yeah, because they already picked who's going into the next round for like the finals and
Mm,
stuff. Like, it's a very fast turnaround.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I am kind of wondering whether I want to go see F1 again since it's back in IMAX.
Mm.
Um, I might potentially maybe do that, but yeah. Also, since Superman is officially out on digital, I've just kind of been watching through certain clips and reminding myself of how I just really enjoy that film. Yeah. And as far as films coming up, I am interested in seeing Highest to Lowest, the Spike Lee Denzel Washington film. I am interested in that movie. And the marketing for it has been very interesting. Like the fact that it's not getting a wide theatrical run and it's like one of the most venerated directors in the world of all time and the GOAT actor. It is kind of interesting that it's only really getting like the Charles treatment and like AMC and Owings Mills or something like that. It's like only a couple theaters and screens, but not stopping me. I still want to see this movie. But yeah, that's over. That's what's been on my horizon so far.
Yeah, for me, I recently sat down and watched Predator for the first time since I was a child, and
Mm.
it was awesome. Um, it is such a subversion of the action movies of that era, where you watch a bunch of jacked action heroes who just at the beginning of the movie run through a camp of soldiers, get hunted and taken out one by one by a creature that they just don't stand a chance against. Um, of all the movies I've seen with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, this is one of his best performances because he has to play kind of the opposite of what he usually is, where he's usually the big dog who is taking
Mm.
everybody out, and now he's one of the people that is on the chopping block. And it's Predator is a great movie. Um,
Mm.
Also infinitely quotable. So many quotes in that movie. So many good quotes. I was watching it with a friend who didn't know that the handshake meme came from Predator. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm curious how many people don't know that. But yeah, rest in peace, Carl Weathers. He's great in that too.
Yeah.
But I also then proceeded a couple days later, a couple days ago at this point, to watch Predator 2 for the very first time. And it is a weird, weird, weird sequel. Predator
How do you
2.
do a sequel? Like, how do you do a sequel to Predator?
Predator 2 takes place in LA and stars Danny Glover, playing the usual Danny Glover character, basically his character from Lethal Weapon. He's a cop.
Okay.
Um, and it's strange. So, from my understanding, it was originally supposed to be like Dutch's brother, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, who is a cop in LA dealing with the predator. Or I think it was actually supposed to take place in New York. And that was going to bring Dutch back into the fold and all that. But for one reason or another, that just didn't work out. So they got Danny Glover since he was popular at the time. And um, dang, why am I forgetting this movie? He was also in Aliens. Let me look this up real quick.
Mm.
I think he's one of the few people to get killed by like an alien and a predator because he was in Aliens and he was in Predator 2. He also passed away. Bill Paxton.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Um, he is so his character's so weird, but it's it's an interesting movie. It's not one I ever care to watch again, but
Okay,
definitely nowhere near as good as the
gotcha.
first one. And from my understanding, like every Predator movie afterwards, up until Prey, paled in comparison to the first one. Like Prey was the first one to actually be good in a long time, and now the Predator franchise feels like it's back with Prey, and then Killer Killers, and then we got Badlands coming up in a couple months, and all three of these films directed by Daniel, I think was it Trachtenberg. So he's doing a
Mm,
good job with
okay.
them, and uh, one of the lead characters in Badlands is a Weyland Yutani android, which Weyland Yutani is the company from the Alien that you know those androids come from, and the company trying to like get the xenomorph eggs and stuff to experiment on them. So they're definitely leading up to another Alien versus Predator type thing in the future.
Okay.
And I plan on making my way through all of the Alien Predator movies. There are some I haven't seen, and just some I haven't seen in a long time. Like I hadn't seen Predator 2 before. I hadn't seen Predator first one in a long time. I recently, a few months back, rewatched Alien 1 and Aliens before watching Romulus, and I watched Romulus in theaters, and I watched it again once it was on digital. And
Mm,
next I'm going to watch Alien Resurrection.
okay.
And I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember what's after that. After that might be Alien vs Predator. I can't remember. It might be. Yeah, I think it's Alien vs Predator after that, and then it's the Predator or Predators. Then Alien vs Predator 2. Then the Predator, I believe. And then after that, it's just waiting for Badlands. Assuming I even watch all of this before Badlands, which I doubt. But yeah, but continuing on that train, I watched the first 3 episodes of Alien Earth, and it was incredible. It is
Yeah.
so goddamn good. The beginning of the first episode was just Alien, the very first movie from 1977. It felt very purposely like the opening of Alien, where we watch the crew wake up on the Nostromo in the original movie. And despite it being a modern show in 4K on Disney Plus and Hulu, it still looked like it came straight out of 1977. Just the old retro future. And I love Alien. Alien is my favorite movie of all time. So this
Mm,
is the reason I'm obsessively starting to go through all these movies again.
got you.
And yeah, I was very excited for this show when I heard about it. And then once we started getting trailers, I was like, okay, this looks exciting. And yeah, the first
No.
2 episodes, which came out same day, were great. And then third episode came out a couple days ago, and it's real good. I definitely suggest watching it. You don't have to know anything about aliens or watch any previous movies to even get it.
Okay.
Even though I highly, of course,
This-
suggest watching Alien, Aliens, and Alien Romulus. At the very least, those three. The rest is up to you.
Okay.
Oh, I also
That
skipped
is
over
what I hear.
when I was going through my like Alien movie and Predator movies. I need to watch all of the Alien movies. I just named Predator movies because there's also
Mm,
Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which I haven't seen either of those.
got you. I, I hear mixed thoughts on Prometheus and Covenant. A lot of people have come around on Prometheus. When it initially came out, people were like, "What? Ugh." It's kind of like it was like the Apex Legends of Aliens movies because people wanted Titanfall 3, but we got Apex Legends instead. I feel like it was kind of like that of people wanted Aliens 4 and it was just the polar opposite of that. Um yeah, I feel like people grew on Prometheus more over time. But people really ride for Alien 3. People really ride for that film, especially
I don't
because
know
of
why.
like I think it's mainly because of Fincher being involved. Like I feel like David Fincher being involved, it's like
Apparently,
people kind of
yeah. People say that you got to watch like a specific cut of it, and I'm like, bruh, if I got to watch a specific cut of it, I don't know if it's that good of a movie.
you got to watch the Fincher cut of Aliens 3.
Because
Yeah,
Aliens Three
like
was honestly boring. Like the first time I tried to sit down and watch it, I fell asleep, so I was like, I'm gonna watch this later, and then I watched the rest of it the next day,
hmm,
and I was like, it was alright. It wasn't like the worst thing I ever watched. It was boring. It also killed two of the survivors from Aliens that I liked, and I was like, why? Alien Three. It's just a weird sequel. Very strange decision. But it also introduces Weyland Yutani, played by Lance Henriksen.
with the Alien series, I think I saw that Noah Hawley is involved on it.
Earth.
And yeah, on Alien Earth, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm intrigued by because what was the X-Men show that he worked on again? I'm blanking
Legion.
on it. And it was Legion, yeah. And Legion was like visually very cool, and the set design was very cool, and there was some fun character stuff in it. And then I don't know what it was. Maybe just people weren't watching it, or Disney happened. I feel like it was a mix of two of those, but yeah, I'm interested in seeing what he would do with Alien.
Oh yeah, Alien Earth is real good so far.
Um,
So he's done a great job.
okay.
But yeah, moving on to some trailers and news. I didn't send this to you because I wasn't sure if you saw the first season, but also I don't feel like you necessarily needed to see the trailer to have a discussion about it. And that is the teaser trailer for the live action One Piece season 2 on Netflix. And season 3 is beginning production. Um, and in this trailer, we got a reveal some fan favorite characters from the Alabasta arc, especially Nico Robin. Um, and yeah, the live action One Piece, the first season, was a delightful surprise for me. It was surprisingly good in comparison to previous attempts to adapt other anime in live action. But of course, it still
Yeah.
pales in comparison to the show and manga. But it was still good for what it was. And I definitely suggest people checking it out, even if you haven't seen the anime. Even though I would suggest watching anime. If you had to pick one, I definitely say the anime. But you don't have to pick one. You can watch both. Um, but it also seems like we're back to the golden age of television production, at the very least, where new seasons are
Mm,
being filmed before the next season is even out. Because not only is One Piece doing this, but so is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And I'm like, finally, real TV is back. Okay, give
yeah.
us seasons in a timely fashion. Okay, not at the cost of people crunching and working longer and harder than they need to, but like at the same time, I feel like there's an in between somewhere. Like we're getting way less episodes per season than we ever did before. Yet they used to release 26 episode
Yeah.
seasons every year without fail. Yeah, it was because they were being overworked. But now, okay, now you're doing half that. Literally, all shows are max 13 episodes usually. If it's like a 30-minute series,
Yeah.
13 episodes. If it's an hour, we're lucky if we get 8. Mostly it's like 6. um,
Right.
so it's like I feel like if you're gonna be giving us 6 damn episodes for an hour-long show, you need to be releasing a season every year. You can't be slacking.
And I feel like it's funny. Netflix is partially responsible for
It's
that,
Netflix fault
for
100%.
sure.
And it's every other streaming service that's
Yeah,
fixing the problem.
because I feel like I mean, Stranger Things is like the absolute culprit because it's like they make, I mean, they're making 8-hour films, and they're like, we are gonna spend 4 to 5 years on this season of television, and I feel like yeah, the streaming model has kind of made television shows feel like 8-hour long movies
Which is
instead
also
of like
unfortunate
something that you yeah,
because it's
because and
makes
I
them
feel like
feel like every movie or every show needs to have the budget of a Game of Thrones, and as a result, it's like if this first season doesn't work, it's up for that show. That show just gets canceled because it costs too much money. It's like, no, bro, give us something much lower budget. Like we had plenty of good low budget shows. First season may have been all right, but because it didn't cost much to make, they give it a second chance, and then the second season's better, and then it turns into a 10 season show. We don't get that anymore
Yeah,
because they're putting too much into the first season.
yeah. And it's like shows don't really get that much time to grow anymore.
No,
Like so
not at all.
many, s- it's and also kind of like what you were saying with like shows filming while they were being released at the same time. Like there would be shows where the first few episodes of the season would be released and they're still working on that same season of television
Yep.
and they're hearing the criticism live
Mid-season breaks.
at mid-season breaks. That era has just kind of faded away, and I feel like people are like,
Writers
"Oh,
don't be
like
on sets no
this."
more like they used to.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like just churning out the product, and it's just all about getting something down the pipeline as fast as possible instead of letting things grow. And then when 10 million things get canceled or dropped off of networks, it's 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 like you have all of the ideas in the world. It's just you don't allow them to grow. Like so many shows that are considered iconic are great. They grew. There was a seed there, but they had some sort of time to grow. So I think it's cool that even in the streaming era, there are some shows that are treating it like old days to an extent.
Yeah,
Um,
for
yeah, I
sure.
feel like writing for the binge model is not at that. I feel like that's dangerous.
We also got a trailer that I think I did send you. A teaser trailer for Fallout Season 2. Did you watch the first season?
I didn't watch the first season.
I think you'll love Fallout a lot. Um, so they showed the teaser trailer at Gamescom, opening night live. I believe it was Tuesday, so yesterday for us. And it it looks as good as to be expected. The first season was incredible, and it even won the Game Award for best adaptation, which I think Arcane should have won instead, but that's a different conversation. Uh, but coincidentally, Ella Purnell, who voices Jinx in Arcane, also plays the main character Lucy in Fallout. Um, and Fallout did the smart thing when it comes to adapting Western RPGs where you create your own character um, into a show by telling an original story set in the world of Fallout, taking heavy inspiration from Fallout 4 in particular. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of the Fallout games, but I did really like this show, which I think is very indicative of how good the show was. Because someone like me who isn't big into the games, but definitely knows far more about the games than the average person, liked it and enjoyed it. Yeah, in this season, the three protagonists are going to New Vegas, a very famous locale from the franchise, which I'm sure you've heard of, the very
Yes.
famous Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3 New Vegas, as it's called. And my favorite character in the show is the Ghoul, played by Walton Goggins. He's so good in the show. He's incredible. He's a character that existed or that was alive before the world was nuked. So we get a lot of flashbacks to his time before everything went to hell, and it's very interesting. Yeah, this second season releases December 17th on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think that the success of this series is teaching people the wrong lessons about what makes a good video game adaptation. Because people are being convinced that telling an original story in the world of a video game is the way to go for everything. But I think that only works with specific types of games like RPGs where you create your own character.
Yeah.
Games with iconic, characters and stories should adapt those characters and stories as faithfully as possible, like The Last of Us. Even though, as we've talked about before, I initially believed that The Last of Us should do something like Fallout did. After watching the show, I was like, you know what? It makes sense to adapt this way because it's that main story, that main cast of characters that's so iconic. You could
Yes.
always, after you tell that story with those characters, and if you want to do more, then you can span out and tell other stories within that world, but it makes sense to start with the story and the characters that made that thing iconic to begin with.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel
and
like with The Last of Us, the story is so integral to everything.
yeah,
Doing a self-insert character just wouldn't work. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you're saying with RPGs, self-insert characters, I feel like that makes sense because we as the audience, or us as the player, we're already inserting ourselves. So doing that with the narrative makes sense.
Rumor has it that the next Resident Evil movie will be an original story set in the Resident Evil universe. But I think that's a mistake because our
Wait, they're making a they're making a new Resident Evil movie?
exactly, they just made one and they're already planning another one because the games are doing really well. So you can only imagine
Okay.
Capcom's like, we know this like with so many good video game adaptations are happening. We should be able to do this. Why can't we do
It's like
this? They keep messing it
they've
up.
tried it.
Because the last
Yeah.
time the mistake the original movies, the mistake was trying to do what Fallout's doing. Nobody wants that from Resident Evil. They made new and original characters. Nobody wanted that from Resident Evil. Resident Evil has iconic characters. It has Chris, Leon, Jill, Claire, Ada. Like, come on, it has iconic characters and stories. We aren't looking for
Yeah.
original characters from already live action adaptation. And then with the most recent one that was a lot more faithful, the mistake they made was trying to combine Resident Evil 1 and 2. That was the dumbest
Okay.
decision anyone could have made. It
Yeah,
was
that don't make
definition
sense.
of doing too much. If you're going to combine two Resident Evil games into one movie, you either do 0 and 1, which are directly tied to each other, or you do 2 and 3,
Yeah.
which are directly tied to each other, because those are happening at the
Yeah.
same time. Both of those pairs of games, the stories within those games are happening at the exact same time.
And that could
So
work as a show.
yeah, and that's I think that's the biggest problem. They need to stop trying to make Resident Evil a movie, and they need to make it a show.
I feel like me, along with a lot of people, forgot that that Netflix series existed.
Yeah, and then it was Welcome to Raccoon City, came out in theaters a while back. I watched it. It wasn't good,
Okay.
and it had a decent
That's
cast too. And then they just ran it into the ground. There was a lot of decent ideas, and I'm like, if these were two separate movies, it would have worked. And the I think the person directing it was a big RE fan, and I'm like, okay, you got the thing that you need, but you just got too excited and did too much way too fast. If they want to, tell a more original story set in the Resident Evil universe, they should adapt 7 and 8, where the main protagonist is a nothing burger of a character. Ethan sucks. Ethan's boring as hell. But that's by
he is terrible.
design. By design, Ethan
Yeah.
is meant to be a character that the players can easily imagine themselves in the position of. And because of that, I feel like they would have more room to do different things without the fans caring too much. But like I said, I just
True.
want an adaptation of Resident Evil 1. And since you're a filmmaker
Hmm.
yourself, I have an idea I want to run past you. So I think that a Resident Evil 1 adaptation should be half found footage movie. And what I mean by that is the
I see what
original
you mean.
Resident Evil
Yeah.
1 and the remake of Resident Evil 1 on the GameCube have fixed cameras. So the camera is
Hmm.
often in the top corner of a hallway and outside of your control while you navigate the levels. So imagine if an RE1 movie occasionally showed the action through security cameras that are set in the corners of ceilings to mimic that fixed camera. I don't know if they've ever done that in any of the movies, and if they haven't, that's a mistake. Because I'm saying it like, no way I was the first person to think of this. They had I'm sure in the like what 6, 7 Resident Evil movies that have been made, 8. There's been a lot of them. Um,
Yeah.
they had to have done that at least once, but like do it more. Especially
Yeah.
if they decide to adapt those older games that had that fixed camera again. But also Resident Evil 7, a fair amount of that, like there's literally a portion at the beginning that is just straight up the Blair Witch. Um,
Well,
so
oh yeah, yeah. Just
yeah,
straight up narrate, like talking to the camera.
they could just straight up make a Resident Evil movie a found footage movie. So like the problem
Could.
is I don't think necessarily the idea of telling a Resident Evil story that isn't one of the main characters or surrounding one of the main characters and instead doing original story, original character in that universe is necessarily a bad idea that'll fail. I just don't want that. I'm just not looking for that. If I want
Yeah.
an original character, I'd rather just play a new Resident Evil game, which Resident Evil 9. It's looking good.
But yeah, in regards to your idea, first there's that giddy, childish part of me that would like to see four adapted, but four is already basically an action movie. Like a lot of that era, like four, five, six, they're already kind of cinematic, and I feel like making an action movie based around those films would kind of be redundant and just be like the ones that came out before. Um, and also those Resident Evil films, at least from what I remember, They weren't really horror movies.
They were barely Resident Evil films. Like
Yeah,
it got to the point to where they were just something else. They were just something else entirely, and should have never been called Resident Evil.
yeah,
The first one
like
was decent, but it also still wasn't really Resident Evil.
right. Like I always, when I was younger, I always conflated the Underworld films with the Resident Evil films
Yup, they are very similar, and they're of the same
because they
era.
are very, yeah, and it's like same actress, right?
No, that's
Oh, I'm conflating. My
Mila
fault.
something.
Oh yeah, Jovovich.
Yeah, Mila Jovovich and Underworld. I forget her name. Like one of the most beautiful women to ever exist. What's her name? Kate Beckinsale.
Okay, like I always conflated those films because I was like, okay, dark-haired women fighting creatures. Like I just and aesthetically, they were just very similar films. So the Resident Evil films just didn't really stick out as RE movies at all. Um,
It was literally
yeah,
them taking the least liked Resident Evil game, even though these came out way before that game came out in 2012. Essentially, them taking Resident Evil 6. Those movies just felt like Resident Evil 6 times 10, which is the everybody's least liked Resident Evil game.
yeah, because they went full on like they were just like, we are going to make Gears of War. We are a full on action shooter now. Um, yeah, we all had that same type of aesthetic and just interesting, just same type of style, design direction, where it's kind of like gothic and punk. I don't know. Yeah. Um, with your idea of it being like a
Heavy, like
RE1 film,
Matrix inspired action scenes as well.
precisely. You touched it on the head. A lot of so much leather, so
So
much
much
leather.
leather.
But with them doing a RE1 film, I would like it to be a horror film. And I feel like the found footage idea would be cool. And also, I'm surprised they didn't do it or explore that idea. One, because the fixed camera style is what made RE1 what it was. Like, it made it distinct and it made the scares have a certain type of impact that normal films didn't have. Um, Also, it's like we had the found footage craze, like you were talking about with Blair Witch. Like when Blair Witch happened and everything changed. We had the paranormal activity joints. Like I think those are the most popular one. Like so much to the point that like found footage became a thing in every genre. But I feel like a found footage or CCTV Resident Evil film that could work, and they could do that. Um, yeah, I think that that would
You know what?
be a cool idea.
Thinking now that I'm thinking about it more, I'm like, have it be told through a mix of, because the characters in that are, they're police officers. They're essentially like super high, like black ops equivalent of like the SWAT. Like they're super SWAT. That's what the Stars team is. And they would, if they would have, they could easily make it just take place in the 90s like the games do. But if they wanted to have it take place in a modern day, they could have body cams, so you could have everything being shown through a combination of body cameras and security cameras.
You know what? You know what, Deshaun? That sounds like interesting and fun to watch.
They don't want to do
I feel like
that.
they should do. Yeah, they. Why would they do that? They would never do that.
And bro, I have such a clear idea in my mind of how to do the iconic, like in Resident Evil when they would open the door, but it would like just be like darkness and just the door opening. I imagine how to do
Mm.
that in like a real space with a real door, but try to frame it in a way that looks like that. I have it's in my brain. It's just pitch black room, door being shot straight on, the door opening and a light illuminating the room in a way that just highlights the door. That would obviously need some like, you know, manipulation in terms of editing to do that, but it would look like it, and it's in my head, and I could probably just film that myself and edit it as like proof that it can work.
A short film. Yeah, that could be a short film right
Just
there.
just
Yeah,
make a short film to show them how to make a Resident Evil movie.
and like Sony, please watch this.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
like, which I have a question for you.
Mm.
Like they've tried multiple times with Resident Evil. Do you think that a Devil May Cry could work?
I mean, that already has the animated adaptation, which is getting mixed reviews. I like it. I see
Thought
the
it was cool.
I see the flaws. I see why some people don't like it, but I enjoy it a lot. That doesn't need to be done
Yeah,
live action. Animation is perfect for that, and I think what they're doing now is good. And it seems like they're listening to the fans, and that it'll only get better from here. So hopefully it's ends up being like Castlevania, even though Castlevania started strong from the beginning. Um,
it started off great. Yeah,
uh, I think Castlevania started off decent at the very least. I thought it started off good, but I think at the very least it's decent. It's a good jumping off point, and it'll only get better from here.
mm,
So that's a thing that I would
right.
like to keep in animation. We might have to do an episode where we just talk about adaptations in video games we think should be adapted and how they should be adapted. Because I could talk
That's
about.
that's a good convo.
I recently was thinking about Metal Gear and how I think that should be adapted, and to just give you
Ooh,
just a brief taste of what I'm thinking. So there's been the idea that, or like, dang, his name was just in my head and then it
um,
disappeared.
who was supposed to direct it?
No, I know who's supposed to direct it. Um,
Okay,
but who's
because
supposed to
this
who's
was
supposed to play Snake? I know Jordan Bard
you know
Roberts was supposed to direct it, and I'm looking
which
at
would have been so cool.
I'm looking
Like
at
that.
pictures of his face, but his name isn't popping up. And Oscar Isaac was set to play Snake, and now
Really?
I'm like, at this point, I think he's a bit too old unless they want to have Snake start off older because he starts off in like his 30s, and now Oscar Isaac is in his 40s,
Hmm.
maybe older. I don't know. Um,
Yeah,
he's 46, so like I feel like he's just a little too old. They could make it work. They could have Snake be older to start,
yeah.
but I think it makes more sense since he's older now to have him play Big Boss. So you start with Oscar Isaac playing a younger Big Boss because I think essentially doing Snake Eater. You make him look like you make him look younger because in Snake Eater Big Boss is like I think in his like late 20s, early 30s. So you just
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac doesn't look that old even though he's 46. So he's not that 46 is even that old to begin with, but like you could easily shave his face, dye his hair, put some makeup on, he'll look like he's in his early 30s.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
have him play Naked Snake, Big Boss, in a Snake Eater movie. And I think from that movie, you then have a show that adapts a combination of Peace Walker, Ground Zeroes, and Phantom Pain, which are all directly connected to each other. A single season of
Right.
television, like 10 episodes, that adapts those three games, two of which are shorter games, and then one is a full game. And then from there, you go to the original Metal Gear games from MSX, where he then plays because in those games, um, uh, Big Boss becomes essentially what the Colonel is in the later games, where he is the person on the radio talking to Snake, and then it's revealed he's actually the villain. So you have him play the villain in those two movies, and then of course, spoiler alert for games that nobody has really played ever being real.
Right.
He dies. Snake kills him, or Solid Snake kills Big Boss, Naked Snake. And then you get into the Solid series with a younger actor, of course, would be playing Snake in those games, where Oscar Isaac is playing Big Boss, and then that younger actor would go on to be Snake for the rest of the movies.
I do not envy that. I don't envy that
Yeah,
screenwriter.
that would be insane. You got to go movie, TV show, another movie with Metal Gear, and then it was essentially I have names for them too. The names are simple. It's just
Yeah,
was it Snake Eater
got you.
because you don't do numbers because then it gets confusing, especially if you got a show in the mix.
Right,
So it'd be Snake Eater. Then
right,
the show would be called Diamond Dogs because that's the like mercenary group that
right.
Big Boss has in that. And then the second
Mm,
movie, but third, in the overall story, would be Metal Gear. I forget what I even said. I think it was like Metal Gear Solid. It wasn't Origins. It was something else. Metal Gear
what
Solid.
was
I think it was something. Damn, I had it. It was like something with Snake in it because the second Metal Gear game is called Metal Gear Solid Snake. So it was a play on that, and I can't
yeah,
remember it. But then the next one is Twin Snakes, and then essentially from there it just goes the actual subtitles that those games have. The remake of Metal Gear Solid One is called Twin Snakes. The subtitle of Metal Gear Solid Two is Sons of Liberty, and
Sons of
then
Liberty?
Metal Gear Solid Four is Guns of the Patriots. So that makes that simple. Dang, I can't remember what the one for
And
the Metal Gear games was. It was something Snake. Metal Gear Solid
oh,
something
okay.
Snake. I think it was like
Was it like Snake's
Snake's. It was
Revenge
like
or something?
Snake's Origin. Snake's Revenge would actually work because there is a game called Snake's Revenge.
Okay.
So maybe it would be called Snake's Revenge. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like because okay, now I'm just getting into full on like MXX games are the last ones, right?
No, they're the in terms of like they take place in between Phantom Pain and the first Solid game.
Okay. And where does Venom Snake fit in any of this? Like, is he in any of the other games, or was he just in five
He is
Ground Zeroes?
retroactively in the
Okay.
original games
Okay.
because he is a medic that got plastic surgery to look like Big Boss and
Right.
was like brainwashed into believing he was Big Boss. And that is the person that Snake fights in the first Metal Gear game.
Oh,
Um,
Venom Snake is the villain in
the first Metal Gear
like
game,
the MSX
like
games.
when you discover that Big Boss is actually the villain and you kill him, the person you killed isn't Big Boss, it's Venom Snake. And then the second game, Big Boss comes back because he wasn't dead. You didn't kill him, you killed his kind of clone. And then in the second game, you fight him and kill
Okay.
him, the actual Big Boss. So
Okay.
the
Gotcha.
movie would be a combination of both of those stories. We're like halfway through the
Okay.
movie, or maybe like at the end of the second act, you think you killed Big Boss. Turns out it's not him. He's still alive.
Got you. Yeah. I went through the timeline thing, and I felt like I left more confused than I did when I watched it.
Those are games that just you have to play them to really understand them. Like watching,
Yeah.
like having people explain it. I trust me, I could all day. It's fun. I love those games, but watching people explain it is just not enough. You got to play them. Which Metal Gear Solid 3 or Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater comes out next week. I'm so excited. I pre-ordered physical
That,
copy. I'm real
that was
excited.
fast. I didn't even realize. Wow.